Alexa, turn the studio lights on.
Okay.
Danny,
What up?
how we doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good, man.
Good, man.
We've got some meat in the smoker, which means it's going to be a good day.
I'm sure it is. I mean, it's always nice when you're smoking some meat, tell you that.
Oh,
I'm doing steaks tonight for dinner,
are you?
so I'm there with you.
Love it. Love it. Well, I've got a nice bit of pork belly. I found this new Brazilian butcher next to where I get my hair cut. And yeah, went in the other day and it was just like, oh, it's just amazing. It's just like, I don't know, when you're a big foodie like I am, finding a new butcher with like new stuff in, it's just I was just like, yes, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And all like these, obviously it's like the same sort of cuts of meat, obviously. Um, but oh no, where's my thermometer disconnected? That's not a good sign. Yeah, same sort of cuts of meat, but it's like all different flavors and stuff. And yeah, it's just cool. It's just cool. So I bought a load of like I bought some ribs and some sausages. We had some sausages last night, like chicken and pork sausages, and made some flatbreads. Like, have you made like yogurt flatbreads before?
Yeah.
Like bit of yogurt, flour, oil, cook them up, and then made some tzatziki. So we had this little like Greek meze. Like, oh, so good. I love cooking. I love as well that I can cook. Like, I think of some people who just like eat beans on toast all day, and I'm just like, you
Yeah,
must have
right.
such a miserable life. Wow. Right, I'm gonna get cracked on pretty early today. Let's just drop a link for everyone for those who can't ever find it. Everyone. Cool. Um, yeah, we'll get cracked on nice and early today. I thought what we could do as well, Danny. Let's go over AUDUSD today. Let's
All
just
right.
probably similar to yesterday's analysis. Why is my desk so filthy? I tell you why my desk is filthy. My desk. That's why it's covered in shit.
Full of Greg's crumbs.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what? That's exactly what it is. It's
It
fucking
was
Greg's
that.
crumbs. Because normally, I was starting to scratch my head, being like, why is there shit on my desk? Because normally, if I do eat in here, it's like chicken and rice, stuff that I wouldn't spill, or if I did spill, I'd clean it up straight away. But that's exactly right. It is Greg's crumbs from trying to eat whilst presenting yesterday. Do you have anything like Greg's in America, Danny?
What is Greg's?
It's like the UK's favorite pastry shop. So it's like sausage rolls, like chicken baguettes. It's like hot pastries, but not like, well, they do sweet stuff, but people mainly go there for like a steak bake or a chicken bake or something like that.
I mean, kind of. They're more up north than anything,
Okay.
honestly. Like Jersey and New York and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Down in North Carolina, we're more of uh like pork, like
Gonna say
butcher
you must be
shops and
eating barbecue like every day of the
barbecue.
week.
Yes, barbecue is
Oh man.
is awesome here. It's the best barbecue in the world. I promise you that.
I 100%, 100%. How far are you away from Florida? You're far
Uh,
away, aren't you?
well, we just took the Florida trip a
Yeah,
couple
I
of weeks
remember you
ago
saying.
for the cruise. So it took us about 10 hours to get to Port St. Lucie. So I mean, the top of Florida is only like 6 hours.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. We're going to Florida next year. Taking I've got to speak quietly because he's next door. We're taking our son to Florida next year for his birthday. Um.
We're out in Florida, Disney.
Yeah. 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 Do all the parks and stuff.
Nice, yeah, yeah. Disney's about 10 hours from me.
Yeah. It's probably not feasible to come
Universal's the
visit
one,
you.
mate.
Dude,
Universal's
we
the
have
one.
a house in Florida. It might be feasible.
Mm. Well, I'll let you know the dates. I'll let you know the dates.
Well,
Maybe we can do a
please
little
let
link
me
up.
do because I might make that work out.
Mate. All right. Okay. 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 I'll hold you to that. I'll hold you to that. Right, guys. Welcome. Good morning, Linny, Dom, Mark, KB, Joe. Welcome, guys. Good to see you. Appreciate the effort as well. I know, we do a lot of sessions, but as I was talking to some of the newer guys yesterday, those who turn up more will have better results ultimately. So every session like this that you turn up to, just remember it's only going to benefit you in the long run. So look, thank you firstly. We're going to get stuck in nice and early today, just because I'm conscious we had to rush the end a little bit today. We're going to go through AUDUSD because although we had some really nice setups on GU and EU yesterday, that last week, AU was just a little bit funky and didn't seem to line up with the DXY like we would have hoped it did. So I'm just going to share my charts, guys. Let's get that shared. And then we'll get stuck in. So AUDUSD. Let's open a new version of it. You see that? My fingers just typed Euro USD automatically then. That's bad. Right, okay, cool. Let's have a little look then. Let's open up a journal. Don't want that one. That's the wrong one. Tab's gone.
Check after AUD USD. If we could just take a look at Friday's AJ of where I got in.
Want to look at AJ instead?
Either or. I mean, I took a trade on AU and AJ.
Look, we got 20 minutes, or 23 minutes. Let me try and get through both, all right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna. Can you see my screen, guys?
No, just share it now.
Okay,
No.
cool. Sorry, apologies. Okay. See my screens now?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Right, okay, so start of the week was Monday. That was all Monday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. Okay, cool. So I think the slight difference, and you can see this here. So if we look at, this is quite interesting. So the difference on AUD USD that I can already see is we had Euro USD here making a higher high, which is what we call divergence for those of you who are newer. Well, at the moment, it's just a higher high. And then when we go to AUD USD, it's making a lower high, okay? Which, when you have that on confluent pairs, when one's making a higher high and one's making a lower high, it's called divergence, okay? It's a differential between two pairs that should be syncing up with each other, okay? Now, the reason why that can be good for us as traders is because it can give us early warning signals. It shows that there is an extra level of weakness within AUD USD because AUD USD was making lower lows. AUD USD effectively had already shifted. And I bet you if we compare that to the DXY, we put the same line on DXY. Yeah. So the reason why I use the DXY, again, for those of you who are newer, is because the DXY is the closest thing to Euro USD. Ultimately, it's inversed, okay? It's the other way around because it is just raw dollar. The DXY is the dollar basket, okay? So it's a collection of, I think, $6 to $8 pairs, the other side of the dollar pair. So imagine EU, GU, AU, UJ, UCHF. It's the dollar version of it all in one basket together. That's what the DXY is. It's a collection of dollar pairs all together. But it most closely matches up with Euro USD. And because I primarily trade Euro USD, for me, that's why the DXY is a great confluence. And on a higher time frame perspective, it's a great confluence for all dollar pairs. Okay, which is why it's quite difficult to trade multiple dollar pairs. So you can see that DXY made a lower low, which is the equivalent on Euro USD to a higher high. Okay, so they're in sync with each other. Whereas AUD USD made a lower low. Okay, that shows us that there's divergence. It shows that there's a weakness on AUD USD that isn't yet there on the DXY. Okay, and what that means is that compared to the dollar on its own, AUD is particularly weak, or was particularly weak at the start of the week. Okay, I know that's a bit confusing. We'll learn about this more in bootcamp, but ultimately Divergent is a really helpful tool to help get us into trades because it shows that there's weakness here where there's, again, it's weakness on the DXY, but remember it is inversed. So weakness is the equivalent to strength. If it's the other way around, if it was the other way around, that would be a sign of strength. Okay. AUD USD, okay, is the sign of weakness. Okay. So it's a disparity between the two. It's, long story short, it's good for us. If you spot it, it means that we can get into trades. Okay. Because it shows that the AUD chart is moving sooner than the DXY is. The DXY, therefore, is grabbing more liquidity, whereas the AUD USD chart has already grabbed the liquidity it needs from over here, okay? And it's already started to shift. So it's all to do with liquidity. Everything we talk about is to do with liquidity, remember, okay? So this has already started to shift. Now, why might that mean? Why might that mean for everyone other than Danny and Linny? Why might that mean that towards the end of the week, when the dollar was moving really, really well and giving us lots of good entries, and Euro USD was moving well and giving us lots of entries, and GU was moving really well and giving us lots of entries, why might that mean that AUD USD started to slow down and not give us similar entries? So when the institutions decide to sell off a pair, why are they doing that? What's their purpose? Why are they selling AUD USD? Cool, it's a simple one, this one. What are they trying to do?
Drive the price down.
Yeah, but why?
So
Why?
that
What are you trying to do, Joe? When you're in the markets, what are you trying to do?
yeah, trying to earn money.
You're trying to make money, right? Okay, so when they're selling off, they're trying to make money.
Yeah,
Okay, and the
sweeping.
institutions, remember we spoke about this yesterday, the institutions, they have targets, right? They have targets that they hit. So think about it, like for you and I, we place a trade in and you might have a loose profit target. You might have say, right, I want to go to 2R. Okay. But if you're trading billions of dollars, they're not sitting there going, oh, I just want to trade to 2R. They're going, right, we want to sell off at 0.632 and we want to take it down to 0.622. Okay. So from an institutional level, their thought process is we want to go from one level to another level and we want to make X billion dollars, whatever that billion number or million number is, $400 million. Okay. So they have very, very, very specific targets. So if they start selling off early because they've achieved the liquidity target that they needed to grab the liquidity that they wanted to start selling off, and therefore it shifts earlier than the dollar, why does that then cause a slowdown towards the end of the week where the other pairs were still moving?
Because that's moved down sooner, so they've hit their sort of
Exactly.
profit target
They've
quicker.
hit their target. Exactly right. They've hit their target. The target that they wanted to achieve, they have now achieved. Okay. So that explains, and Danny, hopefully that gives you a little bit of clarity now that we've done that. And this is guys, this is why these end of week markups are so helpful. Okay. Because Danny and I, to be fair, on Friday, Thursday, Friday, we're scratching our heads being like, why the fuck isn't this moving? Why is EU moving? Why is GU moving? Why is AUD being a little bitch? And
Bill,
the answer is because they've achieved their targets. They started selling off earlier than EU did. And when you compare it to EU, let me see if I can get up two charts and just see if this works. This never really works very well for me, but let me just see if I can get up two charts and see if I can get this to work. Okay. So you can see it clearer there, right? So that started selling off earlier. That hadn't yet started selling off. Stupid indicator off. What was that? Okay. That hadn't started yet selling off. Price wanted to get down to, let's say it is 622, but this price wanted to get down to 372, okay? Or 37. It didn't achieve that until Friday, whereas this target was achieved on Wednesday, okay? And sometimes it's that simple. Sometimes it's a case of they've achieved the target. You see how it just then ranges, moves back and forth, up and down, back and forth, up and down. Whereas this one continued pushing, continued pushing, continued pushing. Okay. The other thing as well, and this is why the fundamentals can be really helpful. The other thing as well is that we had Trump doing his thing on Thursday, Friday. Okay. And that hit us quite hard. It hit dollar quite hard because it was all talks about Eurozone and China and just general US economy stuff. So that hit my pair, Euro USD, quite hard, whereas had less of an impact on AUD USD because the whole Trump China thing and the Eurozone chats has relatively little influence, other than how it impacts the dollar value. It had relatively little influence on the Aussie dollar. Okay, they're a little community in their own, really, aren't they? And they kind of stay out of the conflicts. When have you ever heard about Australia getting involved in any of the conflicts going on around the world? Okay, they just keep themselves to themselves. They're their own little island. I say little island, and they just crack on with it, right? So that's where the fundamentals can have an influence as well. So all we've had now is we've just had Aussie dollar hit the target early, and it's nice and simple as that. Now that being said, there were some entries on the way down, as you can see. Let's go through them one by one. So market structure, if we go from the daily. So market structure, let's actually start on the weekly first. So very, very bearish weekly range, as you can see. Whereas we had some weekly ranges that were pretty panicky on the dollar. So on like euro dollar, the weekly range was like this high, I believe. We haven't had that structure on Aussie dollar, which shows there's a lot of weakness. And that could mean, Danny, ultimately is that you're going to have a really strong week next week. Okay, really strong week next week. We've got a weekly level, probably a monthly level that was taken there. Yeah, so a monthly level that's taken there. So that's definitely worth acknowledging. So that's a dead monthly level. So that has obviously caused a little pullback in price. Daily range, as you can see, exactly the same analysis really as our analysis from yesterday. None of that really. Want that, and then I want that. Okay, so we've got a first break up there of our daily range. And then this is our daily range that we're effectively trading into. Don't want that, this one. Okay, 4-hour chart. Okay, 4-hour chart. Let's just draw on our 4-hour. So we did shift bullish. Nice little false break there. And then this. It's a little bit mucky, to be fair. And then we start shifting down there and it just gets tighter and tighter and tighter. So looking at our 4-hour chart, we're in this kind of higher time frame 4-hour range up here. You can see it more clearly on there. And then what do we get there? Newer guys, what have we got there? What reversal model is it? I'll open it up if you haven't got it, guys. What reversal model have we got there?
Complex reversal.
Mate, how can you how can
Failure to make
cast that as the low? Because obviously the high never broke that high. So surely the low would be at the bottom of your range, and that would be your false break. See the bottom of your range there, you go up,
Yeah.
takes a low, but that's not a low because it hadn't broke that high, is it? Or are you casting it because it's a low on a lower time frame, maybe?
What that? Why is that a low?
No, that's the low. Like, so go up,
Yeah.
come down. Obviously,
Yeah.
you cast that as a low when it got broken, but it never broke the high. So surely the low is the bottom of this range here. Is it? Do you know what I mean?
I haven't drawn that as a range.
Oh no, I thought you cast that as a low and it broke. Like and saying it was broke, it broke that low there. But that's what I was asking because obviously so if I marked it up, the bottom of that range would be my low. So I'd be waiting for that low of that range to get broken before that would be my FB.
Yeah, no, the reason why we can use this is because that high has failed to make a new high.
Right.
So this high has failed to make a new high, which means that this then becomes our first break.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Okay. This
Right.
then becomes our first break. We've now got our reversal. Okay, we've got our reversal, and therefore we can then class this.
Which bit do you class as your true break? Would you class the bottom of the range or the next low?
The true break would be here.
Right.
Okay, the true break would be here, but this is a false break after a failure to make a new high, which I would put in the same category really as a true break. I wouldn't class that as a false break anymore. But it's a different entry model, basically, a different reversal model. I've done a video on this for you, for the newer guys. As soon as I get round to editing it, I'll release it to everyone, basically. All right. So yeah, so this then becomes our new range. So now we can start trading from it. Okay. If this had made a new high, then this would be a bullish range. That would just be a false break. And I would want to see a true break before I could get into a trade effectively. In fact, we've probably got our low. No, we haven't. It is there. Yeah, it is there. Okay. So that's our new range. We can start then looking for trades from. So this is Monday. Drop down to our lower time frame. Lovely little sweep there. Did you get in on Monday, Danny?
No, I don't think so. Let me check my thing. I don't think so.
Okay, false break there. We've got a trap down there. See if we get an entry. I'm assuming we do because it looks really nice. Not a very clean one, to be fair. Yeah, so this is one of these ones where you'd have to. So you've got. So we've taken that liquidity. Probably had, to be fair, you probably had a false entry there. No, this is why you'd want that shift. Then a big push down. I would have entered in probably something like this on an MSU2. I would have gotten something like that. Or a nice tight stop. I would have traded down to there. I would have waited. I would have definitely waited. Although that is only, I mean, you've got your first break is there technically. You've got another failure to break. First break will be here. You've got another failure to break here. And you've got a nice liquidity sweep there. What is that liquidity grabbing? I think it's just grabbing itself. You've got a really nice liquidity sweep there. You've got an ISC there. And then we get that shift down. Unfortunately, it doesn't really give you anything until this pullback here. That would be my MSU. Mark that on as an MSU. And then you could trade down into that trap. So that would be my first position off. And then final position down there. So it'd be a nice 4.1 for a Monday, which would be a good little trade, to be fair. Let's mark that up. 2 p.m. Okay, so we are with momentum. I want to lock that row. How can I lock that row? Please. There you go. Cool. So with momentum, we've got a key liquidity point, a key time of day. We've had a shift, MSU, and an easy 2R. Nice little trade that was. And it went just 0 to 4 ultimately. Good. Mark that up. Put a screenshot in there. Reversal. Right time frame. Failure. Right. Trade. Wait until sometimes that will happen as well. You know, in an ideal situation, you will have these trades where they give you a really lovely reversal, you know, up here. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes it just fucking goes off without you. The key important thing I would remember here, okay, and this is one of my rules of thumb. And if you haven't made a note of this already, I would write it down or just get it ingrained in your head, is never enter on a breakout. Never enter on a breakout. And what I mean by a breakout is, for example, if you saw that low being broken and you've been waiting for a sell setup, a lot of people think, well, it's gone without me. I've got no chance to get into it, blah, 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 blah. Ultimately, it will at some point pull back, which is what it's done here. So never enter on a breakout, always enter on a pullback, because your pullback will normally give you your MSU entry, okay? And then you can get into a trade. So just bear that in mind. If the market starts moving like this, just patient. I promise you, patience. It's very rare that it will just continue going all the way to target and not give you a pullback. So never enter on a breakout, always enter on a pullback. That's effectively what the MSU entry model is effectively you're entering on a pullback. So just always wait for that pullback and you'll get yourself a better entry. And you know, when you get in like here, yeah, it might come up higher and you might have to take a second entry. That's one of the rules with an MSU2. Sometimes you just have to take a second entry. The trade hasn't failed, remember. The trade hasn't failed until this high is broken. Okay? And even then it might come up wicket and give you a perfect entry to come back down. The trade hasn't failed until the market comes and confidently closes above. If it confidently closes above, the trade idea is over. It's done. Okay. But whilst it's within this range and pushing down, the chances are you're going to get a pullback. So always just hold fire, wait for that pullback to happen, and you'll always get yourself into a better entry, usually. Right. Okay. Oh, time goes so quickly in these sessions. Right. Let's have a look then. So we had a very clear shift, as you can see. Okay, so this is one of these examples where we remain inefficient and then we create new ranges and regain its own efficiency. So remember we spoke about this the other day. EPA in an ideal situation would always be exact, okay? And it would tag it exactly. Sometimes it does this. Now, I would personally say that this is probably an issue with the broker feed because that looks too exact for me. You could class that as inefficient, but ultimately you're not going to be trading in this section anyway, because as we're going to go through today in today's bootcamp, we're outside the external liquidity now. So you wouldn't want to be selling into this anyway. You need that efficiency to be regained. And if you were to be trading this section of price, for example, and price would come down here, you would want price to be somewhere up here above the EPA level to then give you an entry down. So either way, it doesn't really matter. Either way, it doesn't really matter because you wouldn't be trading in this section of price anyway. Okay. As you can see, then what price does is it then starts creating its own structure and regaining its own efficiency, and that's good for us because then we can start looking for entries. So we can start trading things like these 15-minute ranges. Okay, although we haven't quite tagged EPA, that could be a broker feed issue. It could have met it. Either way, you're not going to be trading in this section. We're going to be waiting for new structure to be printed, like this one in here. Okay, and then seeing if we can find an entry within there. That being said, when the market is quite low like this, it can be quite difficult to get into a position, and I don't really see anything. You've got some internal liquidity here. Price never really shifts back bearish. It just stays in this consolidation. And then ultimately what happens overnight, and this will happen with AUDUSD, which is why Americans and Australians love trading it, okay, because it can often move when we're, as UK people, are not trading anymore. It's then grabbed liquidity. Again, it's not really shifted, not on the 5-minute time frame anyway, and then it's given us a new range into Wednesday, as you can see here. Now, Wednesday, there's quite a nice entry. We've come back up. We've met that EPA here. When you have very clear spread moves, so what I mean by a spread move is between 10 and swap moves, sorry, between 10 and 11, the markets swap over. Okay, we go from the Western markets to the Eastern markets, and it's the lowest volume time. So contracts are able to shift over. America closes. London has been closed for a few hours by this point, and Asia and Australia and Japan and places like that are starting to open. Okay, it's been between 10 and 11 every evening or every weekday evening other than Friday when the markets just close. Okay, we trade in key windows anyway. So us as traders, we're trading, London morning session and New York open session. Okay, so we're not going to be trading in these times anyway. But if you ever see your charts you'll see your spreads widen. That's why. Okay, between 10 and 11 every evening. Okay. When that happens, it often puts in a little spike bang on 10. So I'll just zoom in for you. Okay, that little spike there at 10 o'clock. That's just the spreads opening.
Oh,
That's not actually movement in price. It's just spreads opening. Okay, Anton, I'm going to mute you again, buddy. Sorry. It's just the spreads opening. Okay, so I kind of ignore it until I can see some sort of structure to come back in. So my EPA level here, I'm not really sure where it is, but it's somewhere around here. Okay, doesn't really matter too much because I'm only looking at it from a rejection point of view. That's a new range. That's a correct, accurate range. That is, whatever happened on Wednesday night. Okay, then London opens and then we get some really nice structure. We don't get an entry until here. Okay, nice little MSU entry here. Mark that on as an MSU. Okay, it would have to be again an MSU2. Trade off the back of that engulfing. Stop somewhere up there. My first profit target would be my Asia low. I just get my 2, so I'm probably going to tighten my stop a little bit. I'm just going to bring that down a little bit, give myself a nice little bit of wiggle room to make sure I definitely get my 2R. That'd be my take profit 1. Okay.
Was that in London? Check.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of I did see a lot of the moves for this pair did happen in London.
Yeah.
And then New York just bucked me.
I think why that happened. I think why that happened is because we had such strong moves overnight on the dollar, didn't we? That we didn't have. We had like pullbacks. We had like big moves like this. Then we had pullbacks, and then obviously the momentum came in. And by the time New York opened, just wasn't really much left. And again, it comes back to the point we made at the start of this session, right? We'd started moving early. So Aussie dollar started selling off early, which means they were achieving their profit targets because they have profit targets all the way down. They have a final target, but they'll be taking profits out all the way down, which is what causes the up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay. Kept continuing down. And ultimately, by here, whatever target it wanted for the day. So maybe that's 621. Look, these round numbers, these psychological numbers, okay, are also the same numbers that the institutions are going for. Okay, there's no, when people talk about psychological numbers and they'd be like, well, the round numbers like 621 here, for example, will be a good area to take profits. The reason why those are good area to take profits because institutions aren't sitting there going, oh, we're going to take profits off at 62108. Okay, their final target will be 621, which is why price will often get to them and reverse almost to the pip. Okay, because that would be their profit target for the day. They hit their profit target, and then the market starts reversing. Okay, so yeah, I think we just had these big moves overnight. We then had these correction phases, and then London opened, and it just swallowed up all of the volume and all of the position that you were ultimately looking for the rest of the day, Danny. Unfortunately, and that's going to happen sometimes. And also, the flip side of it is that sometimes, we're going to have really shit London sessions. You're going to have great, US sessions. So it's going to be, it's going to interchangeable as well.
Yeah, I think the trade I took was on Thursday.
.46. Where would have been final target? Down there. Yeah. Okay. So TP2 would be down there. Yeah, 509. Lovely trade. I would probably take off most of my profit at 2.5. So I'll mark that down as a 2.5 trade. MSU2 with momentum, key liquidity, key time of day, 5-minute shift, MSU, easy 2R. Lovely. Perfect trade. 0.5. Mark that on. Strategy tester. Back in here. Let's go down to the 5-minute, get a screenshot. Put that in there. Okay, cool. So, continued momentum from earlier in the week. That's a large open move. Setup. Session. Q2. To first bits off. Cool. Nice and simple. Right, we've got time for one more. Probably not, but so you traded on Thursday. Yeah, that was that sell there. I get it. I do get it. I do get why you would have taken that sell. In hindsight, there's not really an entry there, is there? We had and this is why I know you quite like your 1-minute shifts. This is why I prefer a 5-minute shift for this reason.
Yeah.
Because here, I've clearly got my market is, I've shifted. Okay. Clearly got here a nice big push, and that's probably all you needed. If you had a nice big push like that, somewhere like here, you maybe a trade, it's outside the trading window, but let's say you had that big push earlier in the day, for example, then you could have found an entry. But yeah, it was definitely it was definitely difficult. And I think I was even looking at trade as well on Thursday. When you look at the 5 minute structure, it's just very bullish. Okay, you even get a false break trap set up there into that trap there. Look. So it's just, I think did we shift bullish on the 15 minute as well? Yeah, do you know what? That's the problem. That's the bigger issue. This is the 15-minute chart now. We shifted bullish on the 15 minute, which meant that was a false break. How did we miss that? How did we miss that? So yeah, bullish shift. First break here. True break here. So we were bullish when Thursday opened, and then we just ranged as a result of it. Although the higher time frame was bearish, we just ranged as a result of it. And there was nothing really then for the rest of the week, was there? There was kind of like lower time frame positions. Maybe one of the things to look at with your trading plan, Danny, is to look at 5 minute shifts. That's why I stopped personally. I stopped trading 1 minute shifts for exactly that reason. I just found that they would get you into some really great entries. They'd also get you into some really shit entries as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I think that's where we were talking about right there, where I got into a position
yeah,
and then it took me out and then it went, but on all the other like XXX USD pairs,
yeah.
that
They were
high
all
did
selling,
not
weren't
get
they?
liquidated. Everything else like drop, I would have been fine. But
Yeah,
AUD liquidated that high that I put my stop at. Everything
yeah,
else didn't.
yeah,
They was
yeah.
just
So,
looking to
and
draw
then what
on
was he
that
really
one.
interested in is on Thursday we had, is it CPI? Unemployment? I can't remember. We had
Yeah,
news
it
on
was one of
Thursday.
those.
We had
Yeah.
news on Thursday, and it gave us a really nice entry on Thursday, didn't it? Give us the news reversal, that really big push, grabbed a load of liquidity, and then gave us a really nice sell off. AUD USD just wasn't interested. A tiny little push. Okay. And then, yeah, you are right. And I know why we entered in, or why you would have entered into this one, because we were all in things like EU and GU. The dollar was also moving really, really nicely, look, because you had that
Yeah.
massive push down. Maybe this is where you need to be a little bit nimble on your feet. Maybe you just need to start looking at you maybe adding in either like EU or GU alongside it, and then therefore if you get a better entry with EU or GU, you can trade that instead of trading AU.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at on my chart and stuff. And I was looking at GU for a little bit. It looked good, but then I switched at the end of the week to AJ.
Yeah,
Because I didn't like any of them,
yeah,
and AJ looked the cleanest out of all week, and that was
yeah,
a loss too.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, no,
So
what you
I don't
mean.
know. It was just a tough week for me. I felt like all my setups were good.
Uh-huh.
Everything was there for me, maybe except for that 5 minute shift. You know.
Well, obviously we're a couple of weeks into this new structure that Sam and I are following in terms of monitoring more pairs, and we've had 2 fantastic weeks as a result of it. So, what we're going to do once we've done our breakdown today, we're going to record a quick video, and just share it with the team. So I'll share with you guys every Sunday now going forward what my weekly outlook is and what I'm going to be looking at and my pairs I'm going to be looking at. I'm only going to do it once a week because I haven't got. I don't want to do a full breakdown every morning because it will just for you guys it will just I just know people won't watch it, which is why I stick to DXY and EU. But I'm going to do a Sunday review now for you guys and post it in the chat, just so you can see the exact pairs that I'm looking at and why that I'm looking at them. So hopefully that will influence maybe some of your trades this week, give you some things to look at, and we'll go from there really. All right. Right. 10:10. So we're going to jump over to the bootcamp session now. Non-boot camp guys, again, thank you for your time today. Hopefully you found that beneficial and helpful. And I'll catch you all in the week. I'll see you all soon. Cheers, guys. See you in a bit. Bye bye bye.